The void promised silence, the abandoned research station a forgotten bounty. I went in for salvage, a ghost in the dark. But the abyss held secrets, and within its crushing embrace, I found them. Women who were not just surviving, but thriving, their bodies warped by the deep, their beauty an eerie, luminous testament to the unknown. And as the station began to wake around us, I realized I wasn't just exploring a derelict. I was trapped with its silent, beautiful guardians and something far worse. My name is Kalen Vance, and I'm a deep space salvager. My life was about risk assessment, cold calculations, and the satisfying clang of reclaimed alloys. The void was my office, its vast, silent indifference a comfort. When the distress beacon from Research Station Ethel 9 pulsed through my long-range comms, it was like hitting the jackpot. Abandoned for decades after a catastrophic gravitic anomaly swallowed its sector, Ethel 9 was a ghost story, a legend of lost tech and unimaginable riches. To me, it was just another derelict, a forgotten bounty waiting to be claimed. My ship, the Void Hauler, was a battered, heavily shielded beast designed to withstand the crushing pressures of deep space anomalies. As I approached Ethel 9's coordinates, the void began to warp. Stars stretched into impossible streaks of light, then vanished into pockets of absolute blackness. Gravitic fields shifted erratically, tugging at the hauler's hull, making her groan in protest. The anomaly wasn't just a zone. It was a living, breathing entity, a colossal maw of warped space that swallowed light and sound. My internal monologue, usually pragmatic, felt a faint prickle of unease. This isn't just a gravitic anomaly. This is something else. I docked the hauler to Ethel 9's main airlock with a soft thud that resonated through the station's dead hull. The comms remained silent, swallowed by the anomaly's interference. The emergency lights, powered by the anomaly's strange energy, cast long, shifting shadows down the main corridor, bathing everything in a sickly green glow. The airlock hissed open, filling my suit's helmet with the smell of recycled air, faintly metallic, tinged with ozone and something cold, indefinably ancient. Stale, like a tomb that had been sealed for centuries. My boot met the cold, grated floor. My footsteps echoed, too loud, too sharp, in the profound silence. Ambient sound, a faint, distant hum of the anomaly's energy, punctuated by the occasional drip of condensation, echoing strangely. Ethel, 9, this is Kalen Vance. Salvage. Respond. I transmitted, my voice flat in my helmet. Only static greeted me, warped by the anomaly's interference. Comms are dead. As expected, I muttered to myself, trying to sound nonchalant, trying to convince myself. The station was eerily quiet, a labyrinth of interconnected modules, labs, and vast, dark industrial zones. Emergency lights flickered erratically, casting long, dancing shadows that seemed to stretch and writhe with a life of their own. Dust motes danced in the sparse illumination, illuminated by the beam of my helmet lamp. There were signs of a sudden, unexplained abandonment. A data pad left open in a deserted lab, its screen displaying a complex, unfinished equation. A coffee mug, still half full, in the primary control room, but no one there. No bodies. No signs of struggle. Just gone. My unease intensified, coiling in my gut. Abandoned. Not evacuated. There's a difference. And this feels like a prelude. The silence here was not the silence of a powered-down station. It was the silence of held breath. A predator's silence. Or something waiting. I began my salvage sweep, starting with the primary databanks, located in the central research module. The station felt vast, sprawling, each corridor seeming to stretch into an unsettling infinity. The strange physics of the anomaly were palpable here. Objects seemed to shimmer at the edge of my vision, then snap back into focus. The gravity shifted subtly, making me feel lighter, then heavier, a constant disorienting dance. Every creak of the aging metal, every distant clatter of something shifting in the darkness, made me jump. My heart hammered against my ribs, too loud in the oppressive quiet. Ambient sound, a sudden, sharp clang of metal, as if a large object fell in a distant module, followed by dead silence, then a faint, high-pitched whine. Hello? Anyone there? I transmitted, my voice a little too sharp. Only warp static answered. My internal monologue, usually so logical, fought against a rising tide of irrational fear. Just the anomaly. Playing tricks. Nothing out here. But the cold, ancient feeling of the station, the profound isolation, pressed in on me, suffocating. As I navigated the labyrinthine corridors, the anomalies became more frequent, more unsettling. Lights would flicker erratically in my path, then stabilize just as I reached them. Doors would slide open a fraction, revealing only darkness, then hiss shut as I approached. Faint, ethereal whispers seemed to drift from empty rooms, just at the edge of my hearing, too indistinct to make out, too pervasive to ignore. Ambient sound, a low, almost subliminal thrum, too deep to be the station's systems, resonating in Kalen's bones. My comms, already unreliable, became distorted. My voice, when I transmitted, came back garbled, twisted, sometimes with strange, elongated echoes that didn't sound like me at all. Ethel, 9. Ethel, 9. Kalen. Kalen. It was chilling. Just atmospheric interference, I muttered, my voice tight. Dead space. Happens. But doubt, insidious and cold, began to creep into my mind, chilling me more than the low station temperature. I finally reached the central research module. The air here was colder, denser, the emergency lights flickering erratically. The main console was dark, dead. I plugged in my diagnostic tablet, its screen bathing the cold metal in a stark blue light. Ambient sound, a faint, almost imperceptible scratching sound from inside the wall near Kalen's head. My fingers flew across the holographic keyboard, running diagnostics. The system was dead, not a simple malfunction. It had been systematically purged. The data wiped clean. Too clean. Someone did this, I whispered, my voice raw, the words barely audible over the sudden, violent thumping of my heart. They didn't just leave. They were erased. Then, a sound. Clearer this time. A faint, almost imperceptible click. Directly behind me. My blood ran cold. My breath hitched. I spun, my plasma cutter already in my hand, its targeting laser a trembling red dot in the gloom. Nothing. Only the shadows. But the temperature in the module had dropped precipitously. A cold so profound it burned, settling around me like a shroud. Ambient sound, a low, guttural gurgle, like liquid moving through a constricted pipe, directly behind Kalen, quickly fading. My eyes darted around, searching, straining against the gloom. My paranoia, usually a controlled tool for survival, began to fray at the edges, spiraling into a desperate, internal scream. It's here. It's real. It's unseen. A faint, chilling whisper resonated inside my mind, bypassing my ears, bypassing my comms, speaking directly to my consciousness. You, here, US? My plasma cutter clattered to the floor, my hand trembling uncontrollably. This was impossible. Telepathy? Or some advanced form of neural manipulation? My sanity, already on the brink, threatened to shatter. Who? What are you? I projected, my mental voice a desperate plea. The whisper resonated again, colder, more pervasive, seeming to come from everywhere and nowhere. We aren't here. Always. It wasn't just physical pursuit. It was psychological warfare. They were in my head. They were the environment. They were the shadows, the silence, the cold. And I was utterly alone, trapped in a nightmare where the enemy didn't just hide. It was the very fabric of my reality, and it was toying with me, savoring my fear. The descent into terror had truly begun. The whisper, cold and alien, burrowed deep into my mind, a persistent echo that twisted my thoughts, distorted my perceptions. You are alone. It hissed, elongated, chilling. The words were not spoken, but felt, resonating in my very bones, a direct assault on my sanity. My internal monologue, a desperate attempt to cling to logic, was a frantic scream against the encroaching madness. No, not alone, just isolated. This is a trick, a hallucination. Stay calm. But the station itself seemed to conspire against me. Lights flickered with a deliberate rhythm, creating dancing shadows that mimicked impossible movements. Doors would slide open just enough to reveal a glimpse of darkness, then hiss shut before I could process what I'd seen. The temperature would drop suddenly, plummeting to freezing, then surge to oppressive heat, a constant assault on my physical and mental state. Ambient sound, the distant, distorted wail of a siren, abruptly cut short, replaced by static. My comms, a desperate lifeline, became a torment. I tried to hail command, tried to send a distress signal. All I got was static, then warped echoes of my own voice, twisted into monstrous, inhuman tones. Sometimes, a chilling parody of a familiar voice. My sisters, my old captains, words of encouragement, distorted into mockery. Words of fear, amplified into despair. Hello, Kalen. A voice, impossibly gentle, impossibly hers, whispered in my comm, "Are you scared?" I ripped the comms unit from my suit, my hand shaking violently. It was a trick, a horrifying, insidious trick. They were playing with my memories, exploiting my fears. My profound isolation, once a fact, was now a weapon. The entity's influence became more direct, more personal. I would round a corner, and for a fleeting moment, see a figure in the dim light. A crewmate from the previous team, their face pale, eyes wide with silent terror. Then, they would vanish, dissolving into the shadows, leaving behind only the cold dread of their ghostly presence. Ambient sound, a faint, scuttling sound, like something chitinous dragging across metal from directly above Kalen. I huddled in a maintenance tunnel, a cramped, claustrophobic space, trying to think, trying to formulate a plan. My primary goal was now simple: reach the void hauler. My ship, my only way out. I needed to bypass the comms array, override the airlock protocols, and escape this living nightmare. But the entity seemed to anticipate my every move. Pathways I tried to take were suddenly blocked by inexplicable energy fields, or sections of the station would suddenly power down, plunging me into absolute darkness, forcing me to backtrack through winding, unfamiliar corridors. The station itself felt like a sentient trap, its very structure working against me. The whispers intensified, a cacophony of alien voices, a silent chorus of malevolent amusement that echoed inside my head. They weren't just words, they were sensations. Cold, pressure, the feeling of being watched from every shadow, every vent, every crevice. My sanity began to fray. I questioned everything. Was that flicker of light real? Or an illusion? Was that distant clatter a fallen object? Or the creature moving, subtly, silently? Was the cold touch on my skin the station's failing environmental systems? Or the unseen presence brushing past me? I started talking to myself, my voice, raw and hoarse, the only sound that wasn't a distorted echo or a chilling whisper. It's just a malfunction, Kalen. Just a trick of the mind. You're isolated. That's all. But the words sounded hollow, pathetic, even to my own ears. Ambient sound, a low, resonant thrumming, vibrating through the metal deck plates beneath Kalen's feet, gradually increasing in intensity. I found evidence of the previous team, not bodies, but personal items. A data pad, lying open in a deserted bunk, displaying a frantic, unfinished log entry. Not alone. Can't trust they mimic inside. The entry ended abruptly, a single, deep scratch mark gouged into the screen. My blood ran cold. They hadn't just disappeared. They had been driven mad, assimilated, consumed. My fear, already profound, escalated into a terrifying, all-consuming despair. This wasn't just a physical threat. It was an assault on my mind, on my very perception of reality. The enemy didn't just hide. It was the environment, or even a part of my own mind. And the most terrifying aspect was the loss of control over reality, the terrifying realization of being utterly alone against an unseen nightmare. My desperation reached new heights. I had to escape, before I lost myself entirely. Before I became just another whisper in the echoing silence of Ethel 9. Then, I saw them. Not a fleeting shadow, not a trick of the light. In a vast, dimly lit industrial zone, a cavernous space filled with the skeletal remains of mining equipment, I saw movement. Subtle, fluid, like shadows detaching from shadows. They were not in stasis. They were operating. Silently. 4 of them. All women. And they were exquisitely beautiful, distinctly human-like, but with unsettling, yet alluring, functional cosmetic adaptations to deep space anomalous environments. Their skin appeared translucent or absorbed ambient light, sometimes with thin, bioluminescent veins or patterns that reacted to environmental changes or their emotions, pulsing faintly with a soft, internal glow. Their eyes were mesmerizing. Enlarged, deep, luminous pupils, optimized for extreme low-light conditions or perceiving unique light spectrums, reflecting the faint, distorted light of the anomaly. And their hair, unusually long, fine, almost kelp-like or filamentous, possibly reacting to static fields, flowing around their faces like living currents. Their bodies possessed unusual flexibility, subtle, graceful contours adapted for zero-G or high-pressure environments, allowing them to move with an unnerving fluidity. They were serene, highly intelligent, deeply connected to their unique environment, and possessed an unnerving resilience born from isolation. They were the void sirens, the chasm keepers. And they were not just surviving, they were thriving, their bodies warped by the deep, their beauty an eerie, luminous testament to the unknown. My internal monologue, stripped bare of pretense, was filled with a desperate awe. They're real. They're here. And they're beautiful. Terrifyingly beautiful. The one in the lead, her translucent skin subtly shifting with faint bioluminescent patterns, her enlarged, luminous pupils fixed on me, extended a hand. Her long, kelp-like hair floated around her head, reacting to the subtle static fields in the chamber. Her voice, when it came, was a melodic hum, resonating directly in my mind, bypassing my comms, bypassing my ears. Intruder, she projected, her tone calm, utterly devoid of surprise. You have awakened the abyss. You bring the outside. My plasma cutter, still clutched in my trembling hand, felt like a child's toy against their profound, unsettling presence. My initial desperation had devolved into pure, unadulterated terror. They weren't just physically present. They were the environment. They were the shadows, the silence, the cold. And I was utterly alone, trapped in a nightmare where the enemy didn't just hide. It was the very fabric of my reality, and it was toying with me, savoring my fear. The descent into terror had truly begun. The industrial zone, a vast, dimly lit cavern of skeletal machinery, became a stage for a silent, terrifying ballet. The void sirens, their translucent skin shimmering with bioluminescent patterns, their luminous eyes fixed on me, moved with an unnerving grace, their kelp-like hair flowing around them like living currents. The whispers intensified, a silent, deafening roar in my skull, a chorus of alien voices twisting my thoughts, mocking my every move, amplifying my terror. You are next. They hissed, an elongated, chilling resonance that vibrated in my teeth, in my bones, a direct assault on my unraveling sanity. My internal monologue, a desperate, fractured scream, clung to the fragments of my sanity. No, not alone. I found them, but they found me. My plasma cutter, now useless, lay discarded. My suit's power cells were dangerously low. My body ached, raw, fueled by pure adrenaline and the desperate need to understand, to survive. The profound isolation of this alien station, swallowed by the anomaly, pressed in on me, suffocating. There was no one, no help, only them, and the encroaching madness that mirrored their silent whispers. The void sirens were scientists, specialists. I saw it in their movements, their precise, analytical gazes. They were not hostile in a conventional sense. They were curious, observing me with an unnerving detachment, as if I were a specimen under a microscope. Their terrifying beauty, their profound adaptations were a constant reminder of the vastness of the unknown and my own fragile humanity. The one who had first spoken, whom I later learned was Anya, the lead keeper, extended a hand towards a massive, pulsating energy conduit that snaked through the industrial zone. Her bioluminescent veins flared, pulsing with a soft, internal glow. Your presence, it disturbs the abyss, her melodic hum resonated in my mind. It awakens what sleeps. My blood ran cold. My arrival. My actions. I had inadvertently triggered something. The anomaly. The abyss itself. Ambient sound, a low, resonant groan, deeper than anything I'd heard, vibrating through the station's hull, shaking the very foundations. The station's emergency lights flickered violently, then died in several sections, plunging vast areas into absolute darkness. The oppressive silence returned, broken only by the rhythmic thrum of the anomaly, now intensified, in the frantic pounding of my own heart. A second void siren, her enlarged, luminous pupils dilating, her long, filamentous hair reacting to the sudden static fields, glided closer. This was Lyra, her movements impossibly fluid, adapted for zero-G, the heart of the anomaly. It stirs. Your presence. It resonates with its ancient pulse. A third, her translucent skin subtly shifting to a faint, protective blue, her eyes fixed on the pulsating conduit. Seraphina placed a hand on the cold metal. It senses you. It seeks to understand, to consume. My internal monologue screamed with the horrifying realization. The anomaly isn't just a physical phenomenon. It's sentient. And my arrival, my very consciousness, is a beacon. What is it? I projected, my mental voice raw with desperation. What is the abyss? Anya's melodic hum resonated, filled with an ancient, chilling wisdom. It is the primordial void, the unmaking. It hungers for consciousness, for life. It has slept for eons, contained by Ethel 9's core. Until now, the abyss itself began to manifest, not as a physical form, but as a distortion in the very fabric of space within the industrial zone. Shadows deepened, coalescing into swirling vortexes of absolute blackness. The air grew impossibly cold, then searing hot, a constant, disorienting assault. The strange physics of the anomaly intensified, making objects shimmer, stretch, and dissolve at the edges of my vision. The void sirens, however, remained serene, their movements precise, their bioluminescent patterns pulsing in sync with the anomaly's escalating energy. They were deeply connected to this environment, to its terrifying beauty. They were its guardians, its keepers. We have contained it for generations, Lyra projected, her voice calm, despite the escalating chaos. Studied its nature, maintained the balance. But your presence, it has altered the equilibrium. My pragmatic skills, my knowledge of station systems, of energy conduits, suddenly became essential. I was an outsider, but I understood the mechanics of this derelict. I could bridge the gap between their intuitive understanding of the anomaly and my conventional engineering expertise. How do we stop it? I demanded, my mental voice sharp with renewed purpose. How do we contain it again? Seraphina, her translucent skin now glowing with a faint, urgent luminescence, pointed to a series of massive, ancient energy regulators, half buried in the debris. They're the anchors, the locks. They must be reactivated, synchronized, before the abyss consumes the station, before it consumes us all. My fear, already profound, escalated into a terrifying, all-consuming dread. This wasn't just a physical threat. It was an assault on reality itself. The enemy didn't just hide. It was the environment, or even a part of my own mind. And the most terrifying aspect was the loss of control over reality, the terrifying realization of being utterly alone against an unseen nightmare. My desperation reached new heights. I had to escape, before I lost myself entirely. Before I became just another whisper in the echoing silence of Ethel 9. My fragile alliance with the void sirens was forged in the crucible of escalating cosmic horror, and the terrifying secrets of the abyss were only just beginning to unravel. The industrial zone, a vast, dimly lit cavern of skeletal machinery, was now a battleground between reality and the encroaching abyss. The air, thick with the anomaly's presence, pressed in on me, a suffocating weight. My internal monologue, stripped of all reason, was a primal, wordless scream against the overwhelming, consuming reality of the unseen nightmare. The whispers intensified, a silent, deafening roar within my mind. We are all of them. And soon, you, too. The words were not felt, but experienced, a pure invasive thought resonating in the very core of my being, unraveling the last threads of my sanity. The void sirens, however, remained serene, their movements precise, their bioluminescent patterns pulsing in sync with the anomaly's escalating energy. They were deeply connected to this environment, to its terrifying beauty, their bodies adapted to its unique pressures and light spectrums. They were its guardians, its keepers. And now, My fragile alliance with them was the only thing standing between the abyss and the complete dissolution of reality. The regulators must be synchronized. Anya's melodic hum resonated, her translucent skin shimmering with urgency. The abyss seeks to sever them, to break the containment. She pointed to a massive, ancient energy regulator, half buried in debris, its control panel dark and unresponsive. Lyra, her enlarged, luminous pupils dilated, her long, filamentous hair reacting to the chaotic static fields, glided towards another regulator, her movements impossibly fluid in the shifting gravity. Seraphina, her translucent skin glowing with a faint, urgent luminescence, moved towards a third, her eyes fixed on the pulsating conduit. My pragmatic skills, my knowledge of station systems, of energy conduits, suddenly became essential. I was an outsider, but I understood the mechanics of this derelict. I could bridge the gap between their intuitive understanding of the anomaly and my conventional engineering expertise. I need to reroute power, I projected, my mental voice sharp with renewed purpose. Bypass the damaged conduits. Force a direct connection to the core. It'll be risky. It could destabilize the entire station. Anya's melodic hum resonated, filled with an ancient, chilling wisdom. The abyss hungers. Risk is the only path left. Guide our will, seeker. The abyss itself began to manifest, its formless presence solidifying into swirling vortexes of absolute blackness. The air grew impossibly cold, then searing hot, a constant, disorienting assault. The strange physics of the anomaly intensified, making objects shimmer, stretch, and dissolve at the edges of my vision. The whisper swelled, a silent, deafening roar in my mind, a cacophony of alien voices that tried to tear my mind apart. I scrambled through the debris, my plasma cutter now used to pry open access panels, my hands raw and bleeding. I bypassed damaged conduits, rerouted power lines, my mind racing to connect the dots, to understand the intricate workings of this ancient station. The Void Sirens worked in perfect synchronization with me, their unique adaptations allowing them to navigate the chaotic environment with unnerving ease. Lyra, with her zero-G fluidity, floated effortlessly through collapsed sections, connecting cables. Seraphina, with her enhanced vision, guided me through the darkest passages, her bioluminescent patterns illuminating the way. The abyss pushes back. Lyra projected, her voice strained, her filamentous hair whipping around her. It seeks to sever our connection. The station groaned, its metal hull buckling under the immense pressure. Alarms blared, distorted and broken by the anomaly's interference. The emergency lights flickered, threatening to die completely. Almost there. I screamed, my physical voice raw, my mental voice strained, as I slammed a final conduit into place. Raw energy surged through the regulator, its ancient mechanisms groaning, then humming with renewed power. Anya, her translucent skin glowing intensely, placed her hands on the reactivated regulator. Her melodic hum intensified, a powerful, interwoven song that seemed to resonate with the very core of the abyss. The other Void Sirens joined her, their hands on the other regulators, their voices joining in a terrifyingly beautiful chorus of interwoven hums and whispers. The abyss shrieked, a silent, deafening cry that vibrated through my very soul, a cacophony of alien voices tearing at my mind. The swirling vortexes of blackness convulsed, flickering, tearing apart. It fought with the desperation of a cornered beast, attempting to sever the connection, to consume my consciousness, to drag me into its primordial depths. But the combined will of the Void Sirens, channeled through the reactivated regulators, was too strong. The abyss recoiled, its formless presence shrinking, tearing, attempting to retreat. The whispers faded, replaced by a low, mournful wail that echoed through the vastness of the anomaly. With a final, silent scream, the abyss was contained. The swirling vortexes of blackness dissolved, replaced by the familiar, albeit distorted, light of the anomaly. The station's emergency lights stabilized, casting a steady, sickly green glow. The oppressive silence returned, broken only by the rhythmic thrum of the anomaly, now subdued, and the frantic pounding of my own heart. I collapsed, my body screaming with every protest, lying amidst the shattered debris. My consciousness fragmented, dissolving, then slowly, agonizingly, reforming. The pain was immense, raw, physical. But the abyss, its cold will, had receded. Ethel, 9 was safe. The void sirens had succeeded. The void sirens, their forms shimmering faintly with exhaustion, their bioluminescent patterns subtly muted, converged around me. They were battered, strained, but their eyes, those enlarged, luminous pupils, now held a new light. Not cold composure, not just gratitude, something akin to respect, and a profound, unspoken connection. Anya knelt beside me, her translucent skin clinging to her face, her voice hoarse, but filled with a profound reverence. You have done it, Seeker. You have sealed the abyss. You have saved our home. You have honored our trust. My vision swam. But the cost? I rasped, my physical voice barely a whisper, my mind still reeling from the cosmic torrent. Lyra, her long, filamentous hair limp, her usual fluid grace etched with exhaustion, reached out a hand, touching my forehead. Her touch was cold, precise, yet profoundly comforting. The price of connection is always profound, Kalen. Your essence has been intertwined with the abyss. You are no longer merely an outsider. You are a bridge. Seraphina, her translucent skin faintly glowing, simply watched, her eyes holding an ancient knowing, a silent acknowledgement of the transformation I had undergone. The threat was averted. The abyss was contained. But the profound impact of its primordial power, the sacrifices made for cosmic balance, had irrevocably transformed me. My own choices, the pursuit of salvage, had led me to this moment, where my destiny had been interwoven with theirs, and the eerie, luminous allure of their world, of their silent strength, was now my own. My journey for bounty had ended. My new path had just begun. The industrial zone, once a place of cold steel and calculated risks, now hummed with a different kind of energy. The void sirens, their bodies restored, their bioluminescent patterns pulsing with a steady rhythm, moved with a renewed grace, their movements even more fluid, more synchronized. My internal monologue, no longer a frantic scramble for survival, settled into a profound contemplation, absorbing the intricate dance of human and anomaly, the terrifying beauty of their perfected adaptation. My body, though weary, vibrated with a newfound energy, a subtle resonance that mirrored their own. My skin, once ordinary, now possessed a faint, subtle translucence, with thin, bioluminescent veins that pulsed subtly with my thoughts. My hair, once mundane brown, now held faint, shimmering filaments that reacted to static fields flowing around my head. My eyes, once still human gray, now glowed with a soft, focused light, allowing me to perceive the subtle energy flows around me, to see the world with a new, augmented clarity. I was no longer merely Kalen Vance, the deep space salvager. I was something more, something intrinsically linked to the Void Sirens, to their guardianship of the abyss. The Void Sirens stood before me, their forms radiating a renewed power, their quiet composure now etched with a subtle, shared understanding. Anya, Lyra, Seraphina, and the others. Their eyes, those enlarged, luminous pupils, now held a new light. Not suspicion, not just gratitude, something akin to acceptance. The abyss is contained. Anya's melodic hum resonated in my mind, cold and precise, yet now imbued with a subtle warmth. Its ancient pulse is stable. For now. And you, Kalen Vance, Lyra chimed, her long, filamentous hair shimmering, have become a part of our collective. A new keeper. A bridge between our world and the outside. My own internal monologue was a vast, silent ocean, capable of comprehending concepts that once defied logic. I could feel their collective consciousness, a profound, ancient sentience that encompassed their shared experiences, flowing through me, part of me. I perceived the constant flux of the anomaly's energy, the subtle shifts in its gravitic fields, the distant echoes of its primordial past, its terrifying potential. The eerie, luminous allure of their adaptation, once a fascination, was now a lived reality, a constant presence in my being. The Void Sirens did not give me orders. They simply were. Their existence was their guardianship, their study of the abyss. And now, my existence was interwoven with theirs, with the station. I had become a part of their community, bound to a new kind of duty. What is my purpose now? I projected, the thought forming not from desire, but from a profound sense of inevitability. Anya stepped closer, her translucent skin glowing, her luminous eyes holding a profound knowing, a silent acknowledgement of the transformation I had undergone. To observe, to analyze, to understand, to be the human element in our guardianship, and to be our voice when the need arises. Her words, cold and precise, yet imbued with a subtle, shared purpose, resonated with the profound understanding of my transformation. I was the bridge, the one who could still comprehend both the raw, human fear of the unknown and the terrifying, beautiful potential of profound adaptation. My old life, my human memories, were not erased. They were integrated, becoming part of their collective knowledge, a unique perspective within their boundless consciousness. I remembered the clang of salvage metal, the hum of my ship's engines, the thrill of a new discovery. But these memories held a new context, a new depth, part of the larger tapestry of their shared existence. The days stretched into a seamless flow. I worked with the void sirens, my hands moving with newfound precision, my mind racing with new insights. We studied the abyss, refined its containment, pushed the boundaries of human understanding. We became a singular entity, a living testament to resilience and the pursuit of knowledge, our combined consciousness delving deeper into the cosmos. I learned to perceive the subtle shifts in the anomaly, the faintest whispers of its ancient power, the slow, inexorable march of cosmic evolution. The concept of free will now seemed like a quaint, charming illusion, a comforting narrative humans told themselves to navigate a predetermined existence. I had chosen my path, or rather, my path had chosen me, and I had accepted it, surrendered to it. And in that surrender, I found a strange, chilling peace. The allure of these women, the void sirens, had been profound. Their eerie beauty, their profound adaptability, their scientific brilliance, it had drawn me in, consumed me, transformed me. And now, I was part of their allure, a new facet of their unsettling, beautiful existence. My skin possessed the subtle translucence, my hair shimmered with filamentous strands, my eyes glowed with enlarged pupils. The void promised silence. But now, it hummed with a different kind of life, and I was a part of it. The episode concluded. The immediate threat was neutralized, the abyss contained. And I, Kalen Vance, was no longer just a deep space salvager, but a new aspect of their terrifying beauty, a living bridge between the human and the unknown. My existence was a testament to the enduring power of adaptation, the relentless pursuit of knowledge, and the profound, transformative bond forged in the crushing embrace of the cosmos. I was a chasm keeper, forever, and the chilling beauty of that unknown, that eternal mystery, was my enduring legacy.